Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the NFT morning in partnership with 100 Collectors. This is John. Today is February 24th. And like every morning, it's pretty early, 8 a.m. for many of us, maybe 9 a.m. for people in France and in Italy or wherever you are. I don't know where everybody is right now, but we have the chance, to have today Jan, known as the funny guy founder of Raster and Random and Collector and much more. Actually, hi Jan, how are you?
Hey, John. Good morning. I'm doing well.
It's a big pleasure to have you. You are you are a key figure, from the in the collector world. And actually, we will talk a bit more about it. But if you don't know Raster, I think at the collector, actually, just before the show, I just reconnected, myself to just watch Raster. If you are a collector, for me, it's the maybe the one of the only way to show your collection and to see and to rediscover actually what you own. But Raster is much more than that. Maybe before we go through that, I will reintroduce everybody who's on stage. We have the chance to have Eleonora Brizzi. Hi, Eleonora. How are you?
Good, thank you. Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you for waking up. I know it's hard for you, especially, and but it's
I
because they don't. I love to
do
complain.
it.
She loves to complain and say, well, what the hell are you doing every morning? But now, thank you because you're showing up every time and
Of
doing this.
course. Thank you for having us. Thank you.
And so yeah, and Pauline also, yeah, founder of 100 Collector. How are you, Pauline?
I'm good. It's not that early for me. I'm in Dubai. It's like noon right now, so it's easy. I can't complain.
Perfect timing. And so Fanny,
Hi.
from so Fanny, just to talk a bit more, and I know that you have some news to share. We'll talk about what's gonna happen, what happened basically recently. I think maybe the first important news was about the announcement of the 010 in Hong Kong, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, so the idea is that before we get to the interview part, and I love you should write the tagline, John, like rediscover your collection or rediscover what you own. It's a great tagline for Raster. No, we figured we would just do like a quick, if you missed it, like in February, there were a few things that happened. And first, actually, the first edition of Art Basel Qatar happened in February, and Pauline was there. So just maybe your impressions, like in 3 sentences.
Yeah. Well, next year you all come. It was a really great edition of Art Basel. Actually, very different from anything that we have experienced until today. Usually, you have hundreds of galleries. 200 something sometimes, and there you had that 80 something, which downsized completely the fair in a very, very meaningful way. It was curated by an artist as well, so you could also feel it was different, and it was not like shows, booth where you could see like so many works from different artists. It was solo booth, so basically you would really get into the work of one artist, which I think triggered a lot of dialogue related to one specific practice, so the collectors and the galleries. So honestly, I wish all the fairs would be like this. The experience as a visitor, as a collector, was very, very nice. you also had like a lot of things happening aside the fair. I was pretty lucky to end up in a WhatsApp group from two great curators, Oronda and Alfredo, who are based in Doha, and they had this, generosity to put a lot of digital art people and more in this group. So we were getting access to all the side things from the fair. So I went to visit like artist studios, like universities as well has shows. Alfredo is one of the curators in the university with a great show. So it was honestly, Doha is quite small, but it really was the visit. A lot of things from the region as well, which is not always the case in the fairs. Here you had more than half of the artists from the region. So yeah, really pretty impressed, and in a meaningful way. So that's the recap.
Nice. And then to stay on Art Basel, as you mentioned, John, Art Basel announced that 010 was reconducted for their next edition, which is going to be in Hong Kong on March 27. And maybe Eleonora is going to be there, so maybe if you want to tell us what you're looking forward to, that would be great.
Yes, so 010 confirmed the participation in Art Basel. We're obviously very happy. After Miami, I will be there. I believe the VIP days will be slightly earlier than that. And there is also much going on, things happening around the fair in terms of digital art, which is very impressive, because last year I was in Hong Kong as well, and 010 wasn't there. There was some attempts, for instance, Operator were in the official programming to discuss human readable inside Art Basel, and they did present the project like in the terrace of Art Basel of the exhibition center. But there was not, besides the digital art dialogues that happened last year, there was not much going on around the city in terms of digital art. But this year, again, much probably because of 010, there is already many events happening from Monday, so for the whole week. Well, I'm looking forward to see again what 010 will propose. Following what Pauline was saying here, it is galleries and curators and people representing artists, not necessarily artist booth, but they did propose an architecture of the fair, which was quite interesting in Miami, which I hope I will see again, because there was not really like a booth structure. So it was more fluid and not maybe like what happened in Doha. There was more like the feeling of a biennale. I also read in many articles, but really like really more organic, a more organic space. So I'm looking forward to see what's gonna happen. Obviously, I mean, the participating galleries and artists, we know pretty much all of them. There is some focus on a few Asian artists as well. Boto is gonna be there. It's specifically one booth that I'm really looking forward to see, and many others.
Great. Well, this is coming up, and actually, so it's just for me to tell you, like, this is a little bit like the calm before the storm. I mean, you also had, like, Eleonora, like, you curated like the first solo show of Entangled Others, which is a duo with Sofia Crespo at the Meet in Milan, which was their first show in Europe, right?
Yeah, their first exhibition in Europe. This was born from a residency that happens thanks to the European Union and these art programs that they organize. So it was about art and science. And every museum or institution in this circle of institutions in Europe participating to Studiotopia, which was the name of the residency, presented one artist. So the MIT Digital Culture Center of Milan presented Sofia and Felecan and Tangle others, and they produced an artwork through the residency and in collaboration with an oceanographer, John Lart. And from there, we thought that maybe we could organize a whole exhibition at the MIT. I mean, the whole project took more than a year between the residency and the show. So I was very happy to see it taking, shape. And yes, if you are in Milan, the show is going to be on until April 19. There is an immersive room, which is a place that very few cities have in Europe, created in this way. So it's very fascinated, and just like 2 words, it's about the ocean and different oceanic phenomena, and basically, like you all know, Entangle others, they really work in this place where either there is absence of data or there is data all around us that we don't perceive as humans. And so they use algorithms and AI and sometimes even like quantum circuits to, create experiences that we wouldn't otherwise receive as humans. So if you are in Milan, please go to see it.
We were a year and a half ago, we were lucky to bring the Collectors of Lisbon to their studio, and Feli and Sophie did an entire introduction. It was beautiful, very interesting work. Like, if you don't know it, I'll really invite you to dive into it and visit the show if you're there.
So yeah, I was saying this is a calm before the storm. February was actually or also had East Denver. It was not very calm actually. But the reason I say that is that and the Buffycorn joined us, and I think this is. I mean, it's gonna pick up. I'm putting up, if you want. There is. We can share the link. We did this 2026 agenda of conferences, art fairs, exhibitions, and it is ramping up for March. Arco Madrid is coming next week. The Whitney Biennale, the new museum is reopening. So we keep I every day I add to this agenda. So if you wanna see what's coming up, I think this is a great way. And I'm going to place my one marketing sentence is that if you want to join 100 collectors, this is the time before the fairs, because we have things planned at every event that has a little asterisk here, and so really trying to join before this fair happens, so we can help with the agendas and the events and the tickets, and it's kind of now or never before the spring season. But that's all I was gonna say. One thing is Marfa announced their dates for October, so we're looking ahead, but I don't know if you saw, but they reconducted their Art Blocks weekend, which is gonna be at the same time as Art Basel Paris, which is a little unfortunate, but that's happening sometimes with busy calendars. So you will have to pick one. I'm sorry for that.
Yeah, and actually, even right now we don't have in the agenda the opening of the Dataland, basically museum. I don't know if you saw yesterday the 60-minute video from Refik Anadol that is, everybody's talking about. So it's one more thing that will drop in your 6 months. I don't know. It's supposed to be in spring also, but I think, we will need to make some choices about where to go.
Yeah. But in the meantime, I think we have to go to the exciting segment of the episode with Jan, who really nicely joined us on this episode. So thank you for joining us.
No, thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk to you guys.
So before we give you the mic, because we have many questions, we're many people, we're going to ask you many questions. I was thinking that Pauline, like maybe that's might be nice if you start with how we met and how you met Jan in the context of 100 Collectors, and maybe we can go from there if that's okay.
Yes, I'm very happy that Ian, you accepted to be with us this morning, because I wish I had way more, but I had a really a wonderful discussion when we met, and this is back in Lisbon. A few years ago, I think it was kind of the beginning of 100 Collectors when we started, and we had. Do you want to?
No, I think it was it 2022, late 2022 maybe.
Yeah, like it was just before you moved. And we were introduced by a great collector who is also based in Lisbon, Seven. And he told me, "What? You don't know the funny guys? You have to meet." And we had this evening. Actually, BBA was also there, and I'm glad because the two of you are actually supporting collector of the club. So we have 11 supporting collectors. Who have been, participating in 100 Collector in a way or another, by sharing knowledge, network, and so on and so forth. And it keeps continuing basically. And we met, and you told me about the incredible collection you started. Why the Funny Guys with an S, and the random, and how it was important for you, like the fact of documenting or almost doing that institutional work around generative art. And you didn't have raster at that time, but maybe you had it in your mind. I don't know. From what I felt, you were looking for the right thing. And I believe you really get there because of what John was saying earlier, and Fanny as well, how the raster is and was necessary. So it's just a very short introduction, but to say that there is, your personal commitment to what we are doing, and we're very honored to have you in the club, but also to have you today.
Well, it's an honor for me to be a part of it, Pauline. I remember back then when we spoke, I think 100 Collectors was also very much still an idea, or just in very early execution, but it was not a public thing yet. And it's really amazing what you guys have done since then. I'm a big fan of 100 Collectors. The content you put out is super unique. You bring a really unique energy to this space. And no matter what happens in the market or so, it seems you guys are you just keep going, and you do so much for your collectors. I think it's all super tasteful as well. The website is just gorgeous.
Well, so maybe that's great to hear. Sometimes we wonder if we're delusional. So sometimes it's good to hear that from other people than just us being like, "Why are we still here?" So yeah.
I have the same feeling sometimes. So when you guys invite me for podcasts, I have the same feeling of oh, okay, somebody else cares.
And so actually, Pauline, you were talking about the name, the Funny Guys. So maybe before we dive into raster, maybe it would be great to hear from you, Jan, why the name? Maybe first, let's start there.
Yeah, it's super random. It's super random, the name. It's something I started with my brothers. Me and my brothers, we get along really well. When we're together, we're just laughing all the time, having a good time. And one of them, just when we created NBA Top Shots in 2020, we had to pick a name, and one of them just put in, let's say we're the Funny Guys. We hit enter. We created the accounts, and now it's still the Funny Guys. Although they are not really in the picture anymore. They have their own busy lives. Not collecting as much, but yeah, I stuck to that name. And now now it's sometimes a bit awkward because everyone thinks that I'm a group, but it's just me. But they find it confusing when I tweet or when I send them a DM. They're like, who is this? How many people am I talking to? But no, it's just me. right
Maybe
now.
you are many people in your head, maybe. Or something
Yeah,
like
yeah, exactly. True.
that.
And so you started with your brother, but like so and you know like kind of like did you start collecting together, or like is this part like mostly you, or is it still involved? Like just wondering. Like now you're like the mysterious brother of Jan.
Yeah, so I got into NFTs like through NBA Top Shots, and I kind of discovered it, but I personally don't really care about basketball. But I knew my brothers cared, and they followed the NBA, and they knew like all the players and stuff. So I showed the platform to them, and I told them like, look, like I really think this is amazing, like this concept of NFTs. I only know about this platform. I don't know anything about basketball. Let's collect together. Like you guys know like which players I need to look for and stuff like that. So they were there like helping me, yeah, like make sense of the NBA, make sense of basketball. But then in January 2021, I discovered like all of the art stuff. Like I discovered CryptoPunks, art blogs, and since then, like that was my focus. And then gradually over time, like they lost a bit of interest. Also because yeah, like they're both doctors, so they're like really busy with their own personal life. So yeah, like now it's mostly me, but my brothers like they still care about it, and I still share like the collection with them and stuff like that. So they're still in the picture, but a bit more in the background now.
And you started collecting like, because I mean, I know we all kind of know the endpoint with like what you've documented like on Random about generative art and how you contextualized it, and we'll talk more about it. But like, did you start with generative art, or is it something you got to love and discover a little later on?
Yeah, so I was really lucky to stumble on generative art in January 2021. Because I was just like browsing Twitter. I think I was already following Sofia Garcia back then, and she tweeted about like this release by of Ringers by Dmitry Cherniak on Art Blocks, and like all of these names were like totally unknown to me. Like I'd never heard of them, but I was like, sure, like I'm exploring this space. Let me set my alarm, participate in this in this mint. Um, and back then, like it was not even difficult to mint pieces. I think it was like $100 or something per piece, and I minted 3 of them. And I had no idea what I was really doing. Like I was just like hitting all these buttons and like sending some ETHs like to the address. But yeah, then I received like these unique generative art pieces, which I could not have predicted. Like it was like a random generation at the moment of the mint. And once that clicked, I was like, okay, like this actually makes sense. Like this type of art actually needs the blockchain to exist. And with other things in the NFT space, like I sometimes didn't really have that feeling because there was also like a lot of artists who are, for example, making a physical artwork and they're taking a picture, and then this picture became the NFT. And I was always confused, like, why is this an NFT? Like, what happens to the physical? Like, where is the value like between the two dimensions? But with generative art, it was like, okay, this makes total sense. Like the art and the technology, like they really, it's maybe a bit cliche, but they really need each other. So yeah. And then after that, I did do some other things in the NFT space as well. But generative art was also always like the most special one to me.
I don't want to ask all the questions, so like I'm gonna ask my my co-hosts if they have questions before I continue bombarding you.
No, I mean, I think it would be interesting to hear about a little bit about the story, right? Like how you came to the Random. I mean, now we understand Random, right? But like how did you started it, and like why you thought it was important? Like I think that's nice for the people listening to hear about.
Yeah. Yes. So in 2021, like while I was discovering NFTs, I was still at university. I was in my final year. So then I graduated like in the summer of 2021. And I basically just was like, yeah, I want to work in the NFT space. Like I'm really obsessed by this. Let me see if there's like any jobs out there that I can apply for. And that's how I got to Metaversal. I think they're like literally one of the only companies in the world that was like hiring for like someone who had expertise in NFTs. So I became in 2021, I became like their first like analysts basically, because they were like collecting NFTs. And I worked there for, I would say 6 months or so. And as like their investment analyst, like they asked me like every month to like look into like a different type of NFT. Like sometimes it was maybe art, but then sometimes it was also metaverse land or digital fashion. Like it really could be like anything. And at that moment in time, like it shifted like super quickly all the time. But after a few months, like I did tell them, like, look, like I'm not passionate about like all the other types of NFTs. Like I'm only passionate about arts and specifically generative art. And then like we basically decided, like they helped me to like set up LeRandom, which is an entirely separate company. It's solely focused on generative art. And our goal from the start was to really, as I said, like really focus on generative, because at that moment, I felt like most collectors and most organizations in the space, like they're a bit collecting all over the place. Like they had like great art, but then they're also spending a lot of money on PFPs. They're also, sometimes buying like metaverse lands, and they put all of it together in like one collection. And I thought that didn't really make much sense. And I felt like generative art deserved to have an organization dedicated to it, with also like contextualization around the art movements. So that's what we set out to do. Like we set out in 2022 to hopefully build a strong collection of generative arts that is not only focused on this generation of generative artists, but also the pioneers of the movement. It also includes a lot of AI art, because according to our definition of generative art, like that's also part of the movement. And then we have a full-time editor-in-chief, Peter Baumann, Monk Anthony, and every week he produces an editorial piece. He has also been working for years on this timeline of generative arts, which I believe was just on the screen, where he like researches the movement and he looks into like all the different periods of generative art history. And that was all part of this mission of like showing like, look, like this is not something new. Like this is actually something that has existed for a long time. Like it's not like a radical departure from art history. It's embedded in art history. Because that was also an issue back then, that a lot of people thought like generative art started with autoglyphs, or it started with chromie squiggles. I'm trying to tell the story a bit more.
And why? I mean, you have been collecting for yourself and for LeRandom, and you keep collecting for both, or like LeRandom, you have like a kind of a collection you're happy with, and you have ambition to show it, or where are you at?
Yeah, we do collect. We do keep collecting for both, but right now, at this moment in time, I would say it's pretty quiet for both of them, just because we have been collecting like super actively from 2022 to 2025, and we have we made like a list when we started of like artists from like each generation that we really wanted to have in our collection, and we have done a good job there. And we do feel like the collection is now in a good state, but we do hope to expand it more in the future. It's just a bit of a strange time right now. So we're seeing like how aggressive we can be.
It's very interesting, because then you like I feel like this was important to spend time on your background. I totally forgot you worked for Metaversal, like, which things like that you forget that, like like, so it's great to get a bit of the lineage, like of how you got to now Raster, right? Like, so really just the discovery of NFTs, like the identification of like one subgenre or genre that interests you, because I think people oftentimes just like as you said, have collections, or just randomly you're like, oh, I love NFTs, and you're like, well, it's like saying you love books. That means nothing, right? So it's interesting how like, and Pauline and Ilona know how I love a funnel, but this is very much like, going from like general knowledge to one genre of generative art, and then documentation. I mean, we'll share the link because everybody should know this timeline that is really well researched and draws connections. And as you said, like, can't always be active collectors, or like times that are more or less active. But then jump to right now, like to Raster. I'm wondering if you can tell us how you came with that idea, and we'll talk about what Raster is, but because now you're a builder, so this is you build a whole platform and product, so this is kind of next level.
It does. I have to say, it also feels like that to me. Like it's like the next level in my journey. I think this is closest maybe to what I imagined, like as a child, that I would end up doing. Because I was never, as a child, I never thought I would collect art. Like it was something like my grandfather did and my mom was interested in, but I never thought it would be something that I do like at a young age. But I always wanted to go into business and maybe like start my own company. I always loved technology. So a lot of that does come together in Raster. But yeah, it like really originates from this, I would say, like this ongoing frustration as a collector in this space. Like I've been like full-time in this space. Like I give like all my energy to it for like many years. And then it was like 2024, 2025. And there was still like not really like an art focused like marketplace. Like I knew that for me personally, it was always quite painful to like just find like all the work that one artist had released. Like I had to go to like Object, I had to go to OpenSea, I had to find all their addresses. Sometimes they had used, I don't know, like five addresses on different blockchains. And I had to like puzzle it all together. And like, sure, like over time, like I figured out how to do it, but it was like a very painful experience. And that's basically what we want to solve with Raster. Like we just want every artist to have one profile. And we want like this one profile to show all the work that they have released ever on chain. Like no matter what blockchain, no matter what platform. And yeah, I found like the perfect co-founder for this. Like I found like Michael from Germany, like who used to work on Masterpiece in 2021, 22. Like I'm not sure if you guys remember this, but Masterpiece.so back then they also did like this type of aggregation. It was like a really beautiful platform, but that company got acquired in 2022 by Kraken. So I convinced him to leave Kraken and basically try this again with me. So yeah, the two of us have been building Raster for now more than a year. It's still pretty early, like we still have a lot of work to do. But I guess so far so good. Like we're having a good time working on it.
And so I was showing. I don't know if you have an artist you'd like me to show, but I was saying, look, you can pretty much search any artist, searching for Justin, and you can see like all the works, the activity on the works on any chain, and then about the artist with the links, the wallet addresses you were talking about, like gathering multiple wallets, right, like per artist, and then what can you do? Like, is it like when you look at the works, like it's because they're from kind of different chains, different like platforms as well, and but you can buy them.
Yes, absolutely. So we basically pull in all the listings and offers from other marketplaces. So everything that happens on OpenSea, everything that happens on Objects, on Gandhi, on Foundation, like all of that is also visible on Raster. You can just buy and sell through our interface. So theoretically, like you don't even have to like go look for all the marketplace activity either. Like we also try to aggregate that. And right now, like if you want to buy something on Ethereum, like you have to connect an Ethereum wallet, you have to pay with crypto. Same thing on Tezos. But we're going to make it like a lot more smooth in the future, where you can also like check out with credit cards, where you can purchase a piece on Tezos with maybe some ETH that you have on Ethereum. Because yeah, like Raster is definitely like it's a marketplace. Like this aggregation of the artist profiles that I mentioned, that was like our core idea to get started. But now we also want to make the collecting itself like super smooth and super easy.
It's a joy to just browse around, to be honest with you. I've been doing that for like many times. It's true that it's for a change doesn't look like a trading platform, which is really nice.
And your business model, Jan, how do you do it? Because as you aggregate from different platforms that are already taking fees, like how do you remunerate yourself?
Yeah, so right now we actually do get like some referral fees from some platforms, but it's quite limited. Over time, like if we become like the go-to like marketplace, and this is like where collectors spend their time, like in the digital art space, like we think there will be like many ways to monetize. Like one of them might be to have like our own order book, so take like our own percentage on transactions. And yeah, we have some other ideas as well that we might explore. But yeah, like it will mostly be as a marketplace. And right now, yes, we're mostly aggregating what's already out there. But if we have like a critical mass of users, then we can probably take a percentage ourselves.
I think one thing I loved is browsing to discover. I think like for collectors, like we do have collectors in the club who are not like in the digital art space for a long time, or who are for now just curious. And I think like it's a really trustworthy link to share with them if they want to browse and discover and read and go deeper, because until sending an OpenSea link to someone like entering the space is complicated, right? So it's also, I really like that aspect as well of discovery.
Yeah, that's something we can probably do even a better job at. I feel like we still lack some discovery features. Like I'm curious if you guys have if you look at Raster, like what you guys think is like most missing, or like what could we improve the most? Maybe also from the perspective of the collectors that you work with, like what do you think could be super useful?
It's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. I think on my hand, first, what I loved also in the platform is discovering some, I would say, hidden. Sometimes you have some artists that are doing some. You've been showing the page of Snowfro, for example, before, and you are rediscovering collab basically that Eric Snowfro has been doing. I don't know, 9DCC T-shirt from this heart-shaped box or whatever it is. Like I don't remember the name. Sorry. Yes, thank you to show it again. So I like this idea of course, most of the time when we think about collections, we think about the main ones released on Ethereum, and we have maybe 3, 4, 5 in mind for an artist. But then what is really interesting is the exhaustivity that you can discover from every artist, and I think that's really interesting. That because artists are doing art basically, so they are producing all along the year. Even if sometimes they have big release, I think it's interesting to see everything that happened all along the way. Then what can you expect? I think it's pretty challenging right now for everybody actually, and I think for me it's more like what is you mentioned this idea of making things like a payment easier, for example. Do you have this kind of I remember also you mentioned that to me, I think when we met in Paris. You have this idea of, because all of us are kind of this in this boat, I would say, of onboarding new people, and I have this feeling that also, your objective with Raster is to do the same. Am I wrong, Jan?
No, definitely. We want to grow this space.
Because what is your plan in terms of, are you trying to do something like to get easier payment, or are you trying to maybe, because we can see everything is completing each other, we see the random, you're also giving some perspective, historical, an angle for people who don't know to discover. Do you think you can do more for discovery?
Well, in terms of like the payments, like we are like actively working on that. It's actually still quite annoying to like accept credit card payments, for example, for anything to do with NFTs. You still need to like go through like support channels, and they need to like approve your business. Like we're going through that process now, but then we should be able to accept credit card payments like really soon. And then we also have, like what I briefly mentioned, like we're also working on this cross-chain payment system where you can actually buy an artwork on Tezos with Ethereum or with a stable coin on Ethereum, for example, like also the other directions. And then we're also like working on like a really easy way to like create an account and without having to deal with all the wallets. The complexity there is that we still want the user to be in charge, and we still want the account to be like totally self-custodial, because we think it's like really, like some businesses do this in the NFT space where they open like one wallet and they like hold all the NFTs for all their customers in this one wallet, which I think is like a super scary thing to do. So it's all about like these trade-offs as well. Like, yeah, we want to make it like super easy for people to get started and to like have their own artworks in their own control, but we don't want to give up on these ideals necessarily of crypto, and we don't want them to become like placeholder NFTs. Like we still really want people to hold them themselves and understand what they're doing when they collect digital art on chain. And in terms of discovery, like I have to say, like I think there's probably still a lot of like low hanging fruit there, because like right now, like it's just me and my co-founder. Like we've really focused on the data side of things to try to like get all the NFTs on there, like aggregate all the artist profiles, and now we're like improving the marketplace. But then on top of that, like I think we can do like so much at the like interface layer, and maybe like recommend people like the right NFTs, and send.
Definitely.
Sorry.
No, there are many angles. I think this is what is the key. When you have the data, even you can play. One thing. I still believe that I would say a lot of people, not necessarily actually people only from the art, because you mentioned you don't have an art background. I don't have an art background actually also, but many collectors who came in 2021, 2022. They became key collectors in the space, and many of them don't have an art background. And for me, it's also the how to get these new people. And I think the price is a complex, is something potentially annoying for some people, because even if for many of us we say it's very cheap, the prices are much lower than what they used to be. Even if when you pay a piece, for 2,000, 3,000 euro, it's still a lot of money for a lot of people. And thanks to your tool, I think there are ways to discover gems, or even, some good stuff that could be affordable for less than 1,000 euro, and that people could collect. And I think, one of the key to onboard people is, to have kind of, to have new generations that could say, okay, it's not like something crazy. And maybe there is a way to find and discover by price tag, I would say, in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that's something that I'm actually like often amazed at. Like even for like really high profile artists, like often there is work available for like sometimes even like just a few dollars. Like especially on Tezos. Like that's why it was also like really important for us to like support Tezos from the start. Because there it's just true that there is like so much like really good art there at like really accessible price points. I think on Raster, like you can probably even with like $100, you can probably put together like maybe like 5 artworks from like 5 really good artists, like 5 beautiful pieces. And I think that's a really amazing thing about digital art. Like the barrier to entry should really be a lot lower than for traditional art. And you can just go to Raster. Like nobody has to like let you in. Like you just go there yourself. $100, like you start collecting. Yeah, like I think that's amazing that we can offer that to people because it's
No,
not
but I think,
really
yeah,
feasible anywhere else.
I think that's amazing. And even actually for people, because you mentioned, and I am in a similar situation, where, you have less money, you potentially collect less, I would say, because, of course, that basically money that you are using to collect is money that, will stay where it is. It's not money that you will have anymore to use it for your daily life, basically. But you still have the. I think it's still interesting to keep collecting, and even for people who are maybe collectors who are more a bit short right now in terms of cash. Keeping. I think it's interesting. To keep this mental gymnastic of collecting, and so watching what's going on, and
Definitely.
collecting for few $100s or few dozens of dollars actually. I believe that's something interesting, and it's also a way to keep your eyes open on what's going on. And I think we know that because sometimes people don't realize that collecting is it's taking a lot of bandwidth. I think you are maybe one of the best to talk about it, but it's not a passive activity. It's an active activity. You have to be there, and even with Raster, you have you can discover. You have to investigate. You have to do your own, to shape your eyes, I would say, in a
Yeah,
way. So
absolutely.
I believe keep collecting. For me, is something that we should, all of us actually, including myself, keep in mind. As a
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, and
Like
it's also getting the tools, right? It's like try discover new artists. Like sometimes it's on OpenSea. It's like there's so many other types of non-art NFTs, and I feel like this is you kind of need to give the framework to new people as well, right? Like, and I agree with you, John. It's not really telling them, okay, here are the 10 works you need to collect at this price point. It's like that doesn't work for anybody, right? Like because it's highly personal, like what you collect, but still kind of like guiding them. And I do really encourage everybody to like look at the data as well that you provide on Raster's homepage. I think this is and this is something we want to work with like Raster on, like to highlight more of these, because like the top like collectors by volume, purchases, like market overview. Like these are things that like the art market has been trying to do with UBS reports like Claire McAndrew, and that was never really possible to be honest in the art market. Or like, I mean, she does it with like estimations, like surveys and everything, but aggregating like the data that you use on Raster and making them usable as well. It's not just having the data, it's also like showing the right like things that are interesting to look at. I think this is a good way to also educate yourself, like
Yeah, and
given
I
it.
have please, Eleonora, please.
Yeah, I have a question about the data actually. So Raster is for secondary market only.
yes.
Okay. So, which is important to say. It's a marketplace, but it's incentivizing like secondary market, which I think it's great. I mean, it looks like a little miracle, this Raster platform. Honestly, it's like the difference between you and the rest of the world is that you made it, because everyone has been talking about this since forever, but then we didn't have it. No, I want to understand like how, so if it's for secondary market, like how manual and how automated is the aggregation of data? I mean, how does it work? Like how do you get data? Do you automatically input like everything happening on Ethereum? No. Or like on Tezos? No. Do you automatically like upload things from certain marketplaces? Or like, so for instance, like if you have let's say like Iskra, if tomorrow and you have her in like in your data stream flow, then if tomorrow she sells a piece to someone so that you have the transaction to a collector's wallet, let's say, then automatically you have this data like on Raster because it's secondary market. How do you get data basically?
Yeah. So maybe I can just give you guys like a high level overview of like how Raster like really works. So like the big difference between Raster and other NFT marketplaces is exactly what you said, Eleonora. Like we don't index like everything. Like if you go to OpenSea, you can find like every single NFT that has ever been minted. So most of it is not art. A lot of the tokens are also scam tokens, like people pretending to be Xcopy, and they show everything. So that's like an issue that they have to deal with. Same thing with Object on Tezos. Like often in the top sales, like you'll see like these dogs from this game called Dogami. I'm not sure if you guys have seen it, but yeah, they also index everything that happens there. But we basically started with an empty database, and we told ourselves like, okay, like how are we only going to show art? And the way that we did it is that we added support for like all the art platforms out there. So Super Rare, Foundation, Hiket Nunk, like it's a list of, I think at this point, like more than 50 platforms that we have custom support for. As some of these platforms, they have what we call like whitelisting ability. So anyone who mints on Super Rare, like we automatically create an artist profile for them, because we know Super Rare only does arts, like they curate, like we're not going to pull in like random stuff that way. And then once an artist like has been whitelisted, then we try to find like all the other wallet addresses that they have used like over the years on different chains. And that's like a complex process. Like there's some like manual admin involved there at times. But then we basically have this like one artist, we have all their addresses, we have all the arts they have minted on all these platforms. And then for all of these tokens, then we have support for like other marketplaces, which is I think a list of maybe like 5 or so right now. Like I would need to check, but it's Object and Theia and LX Hash on Tezos. It's OpenSea, Gandhi, Foundation, also Blur, I think, on Ethereum. So then we have, like for all of the tokens that we have from a certain artist, we basically go look at all the marketplaces and we see like, does anyone have like offers or listings for these artworks? And then we show all of those like on the artwork page, so you can find like the best price for each artwork.
This is I mean, this is crazy. That's what I wanted. Yeah, that's what I wanted to know, because otherwise it seems like it's an automated thing, and I thought it will be really like this, like much curated. It's a lot of work. It's very manual.
It's sometimes still like an artist like just randomly uses like a new wallet address for a new release, and there is stuff like that where we still have to like pay attention, and yeah, sometimes it takes like a second for us to realize that they're doing that. But yeah, like 99% of the time it works well and it's fully automated.
Well, hopefully it comes a time that like, because I think this is interesting as we've covered like how collectors can really come and not only browse and discover, but also purchase on secondary. But do you work a lot with the artists directly as well to tell them like maybe like next time, for example, Iskra, like next time you use like a new wallet address, like let us know, or to add like biographical information or context? I'm wondering like how that kind of content side of things work.
Yeah, it's a good question. Like we have 100,000 artist profiles on Raster. Like they're not all like active artists, like they're not all like professional artists, but just to give you like a sense of the level of the quantity of artists that we work with. And we knew from the start it was going to be like many thousands of artists. So we designed the system in a way that we don't need anything from them to create their artist profile, because that's something that other platforms did. It's like they created like a platform where artists can come in and they can connect their wallet addresses, they can write about themselves, but then you end up with maybe 1,000 artists doing it, and like you never manage to do it at scale. So we're doing like everything ourselves, like first pass. But of course, like we do appreciate like any feedback, and we get like a lot of artists like telling us like, you forgot this, or can you change my bio, or I have a new Twitter profile, can you update the link? Right now we're doing all of that manually, but in the future, like we'll let artists like do some of that themselves. That will make our lives easier.
Yeah, and that's interesting. I mean, I've seen over before NFTs like during like a lot of these platforms that like encourage artists to have profiles. And you're right, like there's like the you have like a couple of tens or hundreds like to the most of like profiles that are field, and then everything else is a white page, like blank page with no information. So quite great to do it the other way. So it starts with information, but you don't put, for example, like information from like Super Rare or other platforms, or like where do you get the information then?
Yeah, we pull whatever's like publicly available. So there's like many platforms where artists connect, like for example their Twitter profile. Like on OpenSea you can do it on Objects, like whenever it's like publicly available, like we take that like into our database and we show it on the Raster profiles. And like right now, like we have plans like for the artist profiles. Like we want to make the about page like a great place to like learn about the artists. Like we want to make it like we want, for example, to also have interviews and like exhibitions and podcast episodes. Like we want all of that to also show up on the artist about page. So it's like just like one place where a collector can go and where they can like really learn about the artists. I think right now it's like, yeah, it's just the biography, it's the links, which is to the artist's website where you can learn more typically. But yeah, we want to make it like a lot better.
And I think what's interesting in aggregating not only the data but as well the context around the artist, you can even go for like an AI tool that tells you if it's worth investing at that price or stuff like that as well. Like, I mean, collecting at that price. Like you have this app in the physical art world called Limna. I don't know if you know about it. And you can write the name of the artist, and they give you like wherever this person is in his or her career, and because you're able to pull data from the auctions, the fairs, the galleries, but also like publications, and so you have like the big picture over. The problem with that app is that they have very difficulties to gather the data because it's on the will of the galleries and on the will of the artists. But here, because you are using the blockchain, you have all these information, right? So it's really interesting, like the potential of it for collectors as well, to have like this reassurance on when or why collecting, in addition of liking the piece.
Also
Yeah,
could be a
absolutely.
scam protection as well, because you leave the wallets that they use, and oftentimes, I mean, it requires a level of understanding already, but like there are informations that you can check, which is nice.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I think like with AI, we will be able to do like really interesting things like with the data sites. Yeah, I hope it's something we can explore soon, because I think it's going to be really cool to yeah, especially where we also have like more contextual data about the artists. Like it's amazing that people come to Raster with their wallets and with their collections, and especially if they connect like their different addresses that they have as a collector across chain. Like we know so much about them like from the start. Like sometimes people bring like thousands of pieces. Like that's like a really great data set to then also maybe make recommendations or send out like personalized communications like to these collectors. Yeah, that's something I think is gonna be really fun to experiment with.
Great. And so in terms of, let's not call it a roadmap, but of next steps for Raster, like, so you mentioned the payments, right? Like it's kind of what you're currently working on.
Yeah, that's one of them. Yeah, we have a list of like literally hundreds of things to do. But yeah, payments is definitely one of them. Like integrating credit card payments, these like cross-chain payments that I was talking about. Perfecting the data more. I think that's a big ongoing item. I think that will be a topic like always for Raster to try to make that perfect. This year, we also want to add support for Solana and Bitcoin ordinals, because these are right now like the only two like major networks that are still missing from Raster. We also have something, yeah, I can't yet say much about it, but we have something exciting coming up soon where we're going to do something with our logo. It's probably going to happen like in a few weeks, and people will be able to engage and feel a bit closer to Raster. And then, yeah, what else? Yeah, just also like a lot of like interface work. Like we want to make everything that you see like, yeah, like even more comprehensive, like the artist profiles, add more data there. I think the collector profiles in general are really like underdeveloped. Like we can do like so much there, like add like really good filters, maybe also like an about page for collectors. Yeah, as you guys can hear, like lots of stuff in like
That's a
many
lot.
different directions. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
great. Well,
exactly.
we'll definitely keep an eye on it, and I know we'll be working on data together as well. So this is exciting. And no, I mean, I don't know if Eleo, Pauline, you have. I mean, we always have more questions, but maybe. No, thank you so much, Jan, for spending the time, waking up early, and I think this is. This was very important to me, that more people know about Raster and the work you're doing. And sometimes things get lost on Twitter and or X, and so it was nice to hear more about it.
No, thank you guys. Thank you for having me. That's really it was my pleasure to chat with you. Yeah, as I
Thank
said,
you.
I'm a big fan of what you guys do with 100 collectors. So yeah, good luck with that.
You too.
Thank
Thank you.
All right. Well, I think Rem, let's close it up, right? I think I mean John left us to greener pastures, but I think we can we can wrap it up.
Cool. I can come back my face.
Not yet.
No,
Really? Is it still
No,
alive?
wait.